Hello, hello, everybody. This is Tony again from the Game Challenger. Guys, the Game Challenger in the UK. If you're in the YouTube, it's the Game Challenger UK, just through at. Now, last time we had an amazing, amazing podcast. We talked so much and there was so much good feedback. Today, we have a special guest today to join us. We're going to make sure that we're balanced. There's not just two men against one woman. It's going to be two against two today. And we are talking about the biggest topic in the whole wide world, the one that affects you directly in your pocket, directly on your app. And that is cash is king or dead. So is cash king or dead? This is what we're going to be talking about today. And I want you guys to remember to like, subscribe, and share. And those of you that want to know more, click on notify. But without further ado, I'm going to introduce our guest, Rosanna. She should be here all the way from Spain. Hi, Rosanna. How you doing?
Hey Tony, I'm great.
You ready for this? You ready for this?
Absolutely ready
Oh
for it.
man, these
Hot
guys.
topic.
Before I
Hot
let
topic.
before I let them out, I know. Just introduce yourself a little bit. Just tell us a little bit about yourself because they know so much about us. What about you? Tell us a bit about
Okay,
yourself.
so I'm originally born and grew up in Italy, and then I left Italy for UK. I spent 25 years of my life in UK, so let's say I've spent half of my life in UK,
Wow.
and then I decided that I had enough, especially when it comes to I had enough of UK. Especially what we're talking about tonight, all the whatever. You will see. We will talk about it. And decided to go where the sun is shining. And
And
so,
where
yeah,
where is the sun shining?
in Costa del Sol. Where else could we
Whoa,
shine?
whoa,
I've
guys.
been I've been Costa del Sol.
Uh, well,
Oh,
guys, I'm
nice.
jealous. Well,
Okay.
Joe's obviously hiding, so I'll bring him in so he can. Hi, Joe. How you doing? Yeah,
How do you do,
yeah.
everyone?
Right, great.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff. What do you have for us in store today? Cash. Do you have any cash for me? Cash.
I
Eh?
wish. I
Yeah.
haven't seen cash for a long time.
Cash, man. Give me some
Yes,
cash.
indeed.
Yeah. Okay. But and Bosse, hi Bosse.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Good evening. You're not alone now. You're not alone. You're not
Uh,
alone.
no, I'm not.
Yeah, you
It's
got
lovely to be joined by Rosanna this evening.
right. Okay.
Pleasure to
So,
be here.
all right, guys. So what we're going to do is get started because we know that you guys are just so excited. Remember, like, subscribe, and share. Share with everyone. Everybody needs to know about money. Money. It's all about the bling, isn't it? What gets the bling? The money. Guys, you
Pay
know what?
the money.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. You know what? What I'm going to say today is going to be interesting. It's also going to be controversial. And I think a lot of people on this call are going to be shocked and they're going to be excited and they're going to be rewarded. And I want to just share something with you right now. I do have a book, which is going to be part of what you're going to be asking about towards the end, which is called Breaking Free. Breaking Free. What are you breaking free from? Anything you're breaking free from is in this book. Yeah. And this is about breaking free from centralization to decentralization. And really, what is money? Money, cash, guys. This is cash. This is the cash. Do you recognize the person on the cash? Yeah, I certainly do. Who is this? Who is this, Joe? Who's that? Who's that man on the cash? What's
King
that?
Charles.
The king,
King Charles,
the
the
king.
King of England, the King of
Exactly.
England. Yeah. Now I remember, do you know what? The funny thing about it, our God is so good. Yeah. Or our Creator is so good. You know why? Because you know what? Today, I've never seen cash before for a long time. And I
Mm.
was just looking for I had to go and do an ID and I was looking for my passport. And then I was going through all these things. And guess what fell out of one of the books? Cash. I said, you cannot be serious. You cannot be serious. How come I'm talking about cash and cash drops out of my book? Oh
Passport.
wow. This is real. This is meant to happen. This is meant to happen. And I was saying to Bosso once, I said, look, when was the last time you spent cash? When was the
Mm.
last time you physically spent cash?
Mm.
And guys, we need to think about this. When was the last time you spent cash? Yeah. Now, the thing about this, so I spent time reading this cash, and I was like, there's something I remember reading a long time ago. And it says here, I promise to pay the bearer on demand the sum of £5. That's what it says on your
Wow.
paper. I promise to pay the bearer the sum. Does anyone know why it says that? I don't know. I'll open it to the panel. Does anyone know why it says that? Any idea?
Should I ask ChatGPT?
No, don't ask ChatGPT. I just want to know because we know ChatGPT lies sometimes. So, Joe, do you know? Bossa, do you know? Well,
I
let
Is
didn't
me
that
even
part of the
know.
process of cash, though? That's part of the process of cash,
You
isn't
really
it?
about it's
basically
about the bearer.
basically what the bearer is you. If this bearer is me, isn't it? They promised to
Mm,
pay me the value of £5. But guess what?
mm,
Guess what? The
Hmm.
mm,
£5, yeah, that they promised to pay me. Yeah. This was in the 17th, I think it was 17th, 16th or 17th century. Yeah. What used to happen
mm,
is you used to go and deposit gold in the bank, and they used to give
mm,
you a note, a paper note, and say,
Right.
this gold that you deposited or silver coins that you deposited is worth £5. So take this note to the bank anywhere. And when you give them this note, you will get £5 of gold coins or silver coins. Now, let's go forward. Do you get gold when you take this to the bank? Now, do you know what happens? You know what happened? I think it was in 1931. Yeah. Before they used to back this with gold. But in 1931, I think it is, or 1930s, the bank stopped backing the pound with gold. In 1970, the US stopped backing the dollar with gold. So guess what? What is this worth? What is this worth? Now, it's now called fiat currency. Does anyone know where fiat? And it's not the car. It's not the Italian car either. Fiat currency. Fiat currency. Now, fiat currency, what does fiat mean? What does fiat mean? Now, I did a little bit of research on that because because I was baffled. Why do we call currency fiat? I said, what is the abbreviation of fiat? Nothing came out. Even the famous ChatGPT couldn't tell me is it an abbreviation? No. What they say, it's a decree. It's a decree that this is worth £5. It's not backed by anyone. It's the government tells you the value is £5.
yeah.
It's not worth £5. It's just by someone telling the government or the king promises to give you £5 of value for this.
Mm.
That's all. So really, it doesn't mean anything. So opening that, guys, cash, what's it? Do you want to get started?
Well, first of all, I want to say that this topic is a great topic to be discussing because it's kind of like trending right now. You've got a lot of people talking about cash and, not wanting to move to a cashless society. There's so much talk about it on different platforms. So yeah, great topic. Now, yeah, is cash king or is it dead? That's a really kind of like interesting topic. I think it depends on what perspective you're coming from. So, for example, I would say if we look, if let's talk about cash globally. Yeah. Now, cash in a lot of countries is still the main payment method. Yeah, and I'm going to talk about Nigeria. In Nigeria, it's the main payment method. There's other countries like I don't know, Thailand, Japan, Mexico. There's other countries. So therefore, it's still one of the main payment methods. Now, if we look at the UK now, society is moving to a cashless society. And the reason why I'm saying that is because we all know that when you go into stores, organizations, They don't accept cash as the preferred method of payment. Everything's like digital or electronic. So you can kind of see where the world's going. Well, where the world's going. We're moving to a cashless society. So in terms of cash is becoming less and less used within society. They're trying to move us to a cashless society. And I think that we have to kind of like ask questions about can we cope as a society being cashless? Because there are some people in society that rely on cash, they budget on cash, they're vulnerable, like the elderly, and there's people that are paid in cash. So we can't say cash can just die and we can be completely a cashless society. No, I don't agree with that. So I think cash is not king because it's dying and we're moving towards digital currency. And let's say at the moment we're probably a 90% cashless society, because I think they were saying last year around 8% of transactions were done in cash. So that means so almost society is almost totally digitalized in terms of like payments. So I personally feel like yes, we are moving towards a cashless society. Cash is dying, but cash has got to be king in certain situations. I don't think, because if for example we have a power outage, we can't rely on a digital system, can we? So how are we going to trade? Cash sort of thing. So from my perspective, no, cash is not dead. But yes, we're moving towards a cashless society, but there's a number of things we need to start thinking about. How do we prepare for this? How do we protect the vulnerable people that rely on cash? Because I think it's a breach of their human rights if they can't pay for things in cash. And there's lots of people on different platforms trying to kind of like say, let's stop being too digital with our money. Let's start using cash. So yeah, the conversation, that's how I'll start the conversation. I'll enjoy carrying on based on what you guys think.
Okay, fantastic, Bossa. I'm going to go to Rosanna in a minute, but who do we see on here? We say cash is king. Who do we see on there?
King Charles.
The king. The king is on cash. The king is on cash. Yeah. But is the king on cash making cash king? That's what I need to understand. Yeah. Is the fact that the king on the cash makes cash king? Joe.
I think what we need to look at is some of the issues regarding, is cash dead or is it alive? And that is to do with digital currencies that we are involved. I haven't seen it cash for a long time, and it's very rare. People use cash if everything is electronic transaction. But I want to, as you were saying regarding Charles being on a note, cash is only as value as the economy, supply and demand, inflation. So that people keep money underneath their bed. Yeah. Is it right or is it wrong? And if we keep our money in the bank, we're no longer in control. Central government and the bank have those control. Yeah. And is it safe? That's the questions we have to ask. And the question we need to ask during this discussion is the pros and cons of cash, economy, and electronic digital transaction, which we need to discuss the pros and cons of those two factors. Without those two factors, we can't really hit the nail on the discussion. So a classic story before I end is this. Jeff Bezos, I think it was. He's top 5 millionaire in the world. And he is an investment entrepreneur. And he kept cash in the millions. And what he was able to do, a company went into bankruptcy and he was able to access cash in order to bail out that company. So that's a really positive aspect of him keeping cash. And he's one of the biggest investors in the world, also keeping cash. So that's one of the pros of having your own money. And his his objective was, I don't want the bank government dictating to me how I spend my money, what I buy with my money. And he was able to bail out many, many companies during the pandemic. So that's one pros of keeping cash. And the other positive aspect of keeping cash is that you're in control. You're in control of what you spend. This deals with your book, centralization or decentralization or centralization. Which one do you prefer? So I hope I kick something in the discussion off in relation to the main topic.
Yeah, I think you definitely picked a good thing up with digital. Trying to understand whether it's king or whether we need it, or you mentioned in terms of a rescue mission based on the story you came across. But one of the things I'll say is if we have cash under our bed, like you said, or in our basement, yeah. Are we assuming that the value will still that money will still have value by the time the government rolls out the digital currency? I'm just saying, but we'll come back to that when you're ready. So, Rosanna, are you still with
That's an
us?
important point, though.
Yeah, yeah. Rosanna?
Yes, can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you loud and clear now. Oh,
Okay.
I thought we lost our guest.
No,
Yeah.
no, no. Unfortunately, I'm still here.
But before you start, Rosanna, there's something Boss has said, yeah, which I need to come back to because I am a man that's traveled and I travel the world. You know, I think there's only one part of the world I haven't been to, is on my bucket list, which is South America. Yeah. But when we talk about Africa, Africa is actually leapfrogging the world when it comes to digital currency. Yeah. Africa, if you look at, I remember going to Kenya, they have the M-Pesa. It's on your phone, yeah, and you pay for your merchandise through your phone. 50%, if I remember rightly, 50% of Kenya's GDP is through the M-Pesa, which is a digital currency. Yeah. So to say that places like Africa, Africa are forward. When I say forward, I'm saying forward in terms of digital. I'm not necessarily saying that's a good thing. Yeah, I'm just saying digital. Um, Ghana and Nigeria, there was a serious problem in Nigeria in 2023, I think when I was around, when they were trying to do some things and the traders were upset and a number of things were going on there. Even though they're upset, you know how it is in Africa. Nobody cares. They just implement. So, no, I apologize for everyone in Africa. Not nobody cares, but you know what I mean. But basically, yeah. So I'm just saying that we'll come back to that, Bosse, on that. But Rosanna, over to you.
Sorry, but sorry, Rosanna,
Okay.
before you say that, I just want to come back. I didn't say that Africa wasn't leading in
Okay.
digital currency or technology, but I just made the point that if you want to talk about cash and whether it's king, a lot of countries, it's still their main payment method. So in Nigeria, it's 55%, for example, they're on approximately. So it doesn't mean to say that it's still not, it might not be leading in digital payment methods or digital currency or whatever. It's just that point that, yeah, cash is still like the main payment method for some countries.
My opinion is different to yours. They're still using the old colonial transaction process, whereby they're keeping cash. Most of them still keep cash. Doing electronic, not all of them. There's only one country that's fully digital in terms of cashless society, and that's Sweden. Sweden is fully digital. Yeah. Whilst some are still not fully converted to digital. England uses digital, we understand that, but it's not fully digital. We still can get cash from the cash point, go to the pub and buy our drinks and so forth, or
Okay.
use card. We're still using the traditional cash, physical cash, But those beg the question is, and what we need to answer is, there are pros and cons in terms of cashless society and physical money. And that's what we need what benefit has it had to you or to many other people, in the sense that, as having a cashless society benefited them? Because in the old days, we like to see our money physically, because then we know it's money. The old generation, those who were born in the 60s and the 30s and 40s, we like to see, they're used to physical transaction. It's only the modern society that are used to technology that prefer electronic transaction.
Thank you for that, Joe. So, Rosanna, over to
Yes.
you.
So, cash is king, right? So it wear a crown, right? So the question is it really still wearing the crown these days? So in some countries it still does. And I can see, for example, in Europe, Italy and Spain, cash is still have is influence and definitely more powerful than digital. People are slightly still scared and still, not fully understanding how it works. On the other side, because now we have the technology and we're talking about the fiat and non-fiat currency, the question is more about what is really money and understand how money works at the time that we live in, because we are evolving and we're evolving at speed that perhaps as human beings we can't even understand and comprehend it. And we're moving also in terms of currencies. And the question I think fundamental is when it comes to cash or when it comes to money, digital, non-digital, does it serve me or do I serve it? So what does it do for me? And it's about being aware of both worlds really and understand how can I make it work, or how can both maybe can be kings, digital and non-digital, or how can I take advantage, in where I live, where cash still strong, but technology is coming in slowly. So how can I adapt? How can I understand better how to really make it work for me instead of me, thinking, for example, because we grew up in my culture, we grew up that money was safe in the bank, and you save the money, not realizing that actually over time they keep printing money. So the value, like we said, who said the five are five? Where is actually the value? Where when we look into the digital currency, if we understand it, the awareness can help us to not panic, to not be scared, but actually use the knowledge to empower ourselves and use what is out there to our advantage. Because people often, with changes and with all these things coming on, I remember, when I was in UK and the pandemic came and I went to B&Q, I went with cash. And he said to me, I'm sorry. I went to the till, I had my cash. He said, I'm sorry, you cannot pay cash. And I said, what do you mean I can't pay cash? I was shocked. And he said, oh, we take all the cards. I said, but I don't have I forgot my purse at home. I've got cash. And they said, no. I asked to speak to the manager. They said, I'm sorry. And I'm like, you are refusing for me to buy your stuff and refusing money, And then from there, obviously things started to change so fast. But then once you go into it, and once if you take the time to understand it, and you actually, the awareness makes you feel more comfortable and actually empower you when it comes to cash and digital. For me, knowledge and awareness can help us to be, how can I call it, more wise in understanding what's happening around us and not panicking. That's my point.
Well, it's a very good point. Very good point. I think just some stats that's just talking about. Um, they say in the UK, less than 14% of payments in 2024 was done by cash.
Wow.
They say that in the UK, from 2017 to now, yeah, there's less, there's 50% less ATM machines. So 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 if if all these are going down, how can cash be king? And I want to just basically open up to everybody and say, look, let's just say, what do you like about cash? Person, just tell us, what do you like about cash? Because if we're going to be the people that encourage the government to leave some cash for us, yeah, they need to know, what do you like about cash? What is it that you like about cash? I know for me, I like the independence, yeah, and for me, even though cash is centralized, in a way, it's decentralized. Because like I didn't know I had this £5. I didn't know until I was looking for something. And it's happened to me before. When you're searching for something and suddenly you find a £50 note, you're like, okay, where'd that come from? Oh, that's good. Yeah. But the government doesn't know I have this £5 note. Unless they put a chip in there, which they haven't yet, but they may do if you insist that you need your cash. Yeah. So what I'm just saying to you is, what do you love about your cash? I love about my cash is like I can store it and then I can bring it out and use it at a later date, isn't it? But the thing is, cash doesn't give you interest, does it? It doesn't give you interest. So that's the downside of it, isn't it? Yeah. The governments
What is
always
the
use,
upside?
one second, Joe. The governments also have strategies where when they're trying to get the cash back in, they'll change the note, isn't it? They'll say, we need to bring it in because it's old. So you need to come and exchange your cash for new. That's the strategy that most governments use all around the world to try and find out who's got the cash. You understand? So that's me. I like my cash because it's flexible, it's invisible it's decentralized in a way. It's centralized, but it's decentralized in a way, and it's convenient. Okay, so Joe, since you were talking, over to you.
Yeah, you're saying what is the value?
No, I'm not. I'm asking, what do you like about your cash?
There's pros and cons of both. What do I like about the cash is you have more control and more power of how you spend your money. Yeah. The cons are inflation could devalue what you keep underneath your bed. Yeah. So, but if you have cash, you have a bargaining power. Yeah. You have a bargaining power in terms of what you could do with that money. If it's at the hand of the bank or government, you have very little control over that. So those are the pros and cons of having cash. I prefer to have cash because it gives me a certain safety and control.
Okay, okay. I like the fact that you've got pros and cons. Botte, what do you like about cash? Your cash, the cash,
Well, um,
the cash under your bed. What do you like about
I don't have cash under my bed for starters.
it?
Yeah, so yeah, yeah, so I'll put that disclaimer right there. No cash under my bed. So don't come looking under my bed, please.
Don't go knocking on her door. There's no cash there.
But I like what you said, and I just want to say Rosanna made some good points that I hope we can come back to as well. She made some really fantastic points. But yeah, so what I like about cash is I don't like the fact that my bank's telling me how much I'm spending my money on shopping. It's tracking everything electronic. You're spending too much money on shopping, on shoes or whatever. It's not your business. I've earned that money. I've worked for it. I don't want you telling me what I'm doing with my money. If I pay in cash, nobody's tracking what I'm spending my money on, and I can live in my little bubble, enjoying my little, expenses on whatever. So I like the fact that cash gives you freedom, independence. No one's watching you until unless they start putting, as you said, chips into the notes and things like that. And then I also like the fact that you can budget better with cash. So, you know, when you've got money in your hand, you can really feel how you're spending it. When you're just tapping, you sometimes don't realize how much money you've tapped away in a day, sort of thing. So that's what I like about cash. And also, what's the other thing I mentioned? It's convenient. Cash is convenient. It's convenient because you're not going to be charged for it, and when you're doing transactions and things like that. And if you have it and you can just pay for things, it's the convenience of it I love as well.
Well, I think that I like the fact that I like that one where you say you can't track what I'm buying. And that's annoying, isn't it, sometimes? When they come up with those stats, you're
Yeah.
like, get out of it. Rosanna, what do you like about your cash?
The
Yeah? In,
freedom,
in
the
your
freedom.
cellar, you haven't got it in the bed, you got big,
Oh yeah, sure, on the
you know,
basement, yeah. Not behind the walls, you
or
see?
bags of cash.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what do you like about it? What do you like about it?
It's the
Yeah?
freedom. The
Mm,
freedom for me works, that's why I was saying, awareness of how to use it and how to protect yourself. And, is cash is untraceable in a way, nobody you can do whatever you want and they can say, oh, there's no evidence, where it come from, where you use it, what? I don't know what you're talking about. you know? So the freedom, which I think today is missing, or we
mm,
don't have it as much. These rights that we talk about to have, they
mm,
don't exist anymore. And then we see now from simply how they're managing the bank system, just the bank system. And in Spain, if you need to withdraw more than 3,000, the tax people will be on your account, will be checking everything. You have to request if you to the tax people into the bank why you need more than 3,000. You have to prove that, for example, I want to buy a car for 4,000. Come on, it's my money. I work for it. and you're telling me, no, you can have it? It's like, excuse me, who do you think you are? So the freedom, yes, is
mm.
priceless. So
All
that's
right.
why cash is the king, if
Uh,
he was still around.
The cash is your king.
Yeah, my king, yes. And
It's
my
my
queen too.
yeah, and your queen too.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I think to be honest with you, there's a big argument for keeping cash, and I think I hear I hear freedom. I hear freedom. You feel free to do what you want to do with your cash. Whereas when we go back now and say, okay, what is it about digital? Because at the end of the day, most of us spend in digital currency. I think from what I remember, there are each person in the UK is tapping contactless 30 times a week. 30 times a week. So that's on
Wow.
average. So you can imagine we're just tapping our money away. Tap, 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 tap. I think one of the biggest problems with digital currency and digital money is because, like Bosse said, you just keep tapping it and you don't realize you've tapped it. Whereas cash, by the time you take it out of your pocket and you look at this is the last five, this is the last £5 I have. I ain't tapping anything. I think I'm rather than going on the bus, I'm walking. You understand? Yeah. So that's what we're missing now. We're missing that fact that we're responsible for the taps. The taps look like it's something that we out there. So I don't know.
Right, let's just stop there for 1 minute, take a pause. Let's just listen. Guys, thank you very much for tuning in for this show. We've just run out of cash. So guess what? We're going to go into the digital on the next part. What we want you to do is write your comments about what you've heard so far, about what we said so far. So when we hit that digital moment, I've given you my opinion on digital. Guess what? You're going to hear from Bosse, you're going to hear from Rosanna, you're going to hear from Joe on their opinion on digital and more. So tune in to the next one. That's going to be next week. But what I'd like you to do before you tune in is like, subscribe, and share what you just heard today. So thank you very much. This is me, Tony, from the Game Challengers UK on YouTube. And what we're doing is we're challenging the game. Life is a game. We need to challenge the game. Because if you don't challenge it, the game is over. So that's me, Tony, over and out.